In the mythical land of ancient Thrace, a landscape steeped in legend and woven with the narratives of gods and mortals, there is room for both awe and misfortune. Thrace, with its rugged terrain and sweeping vistas, holds tales of heroism and divine intervention, its significance echoing through the corridors of time. This land was a stage upon which many ancient myths unfolded, where heroic sagas passed down through generations continued to be told. Within this tapestry of myth, the Harpies emerge as formidable and mystical creatures. Born of the stormy winds, these avian figures with faces of women were tied to the divine, their existence rooted in the whims and will of the gods themselves. Their presence evoked a cacophony of shrill cries piercing the tranquil air, marking their flight as both swift and intimidating. These creatures were not merely birds or spirits. They were enforcers of divine will, seamlessly blending into the ethereal currents that defined the mythical past. The Harpies were often depicted with their vast wings beating thunderously, symbols of punishment wrapped in the sheen of ancient legend. The role of the Harpies extended beyond their haunting physicality. They took on the grave responsibility of enacting the punishments decreed by the divine, meting out justice as needed. Neither mortals nor their deeds were beyond the scrutiny of the gods, and for those deemed deserving, the Harpies became harbingers of retribution. Tasked with this purpose, they became spectacles of divine intervention in the human realm, their very presence a medium of fear and respect intertwined. Among the many tales of their interference, the torment of Phineus, a blind prophet, stands prominent. Once blessed with the gift of foresight, Phineus had abused his powers, drawing the ire of the gods who sought to humble him. Rendered sightless for his transgressions, his punishment did not end there. The Harpies were sent to torment him further, tasked with the unrelenting duty of making his life a penance for his freedom of will. This relentless harassment was an echo of the gods' intentions, a constant reminder that divine justice hovered within reach. Phineus's plight was a story well known, whispered from one corner of Thrace to another. A man who had fallen from grace, Phineus was left in a pitiful state. His table, once abundant with food, became a scene of continuous conflict and loss. Each time a meal was set before him, the Harpies descended swiftly, their wings casting shadows over his meager feast as they stole the sustenance meant for him. Their abrupt arrivals, marked by shrill howls, left Phineus in perpetual hunger, a tangible manifestation of his suffering under divine judgment. The Harpies' interference was not without purpose. In the poem that tells of their deeds, the opening lines serve as a prelude to the formidable role they played. Their relentless task was not born out of malice for Phineus alone, but rather an embodiment of the deific will, a narrative carved from the core of myth to serve as a forewarning of divine retribution. It speaks of divine motives woven into the fabric of the story, showcasing how the myth reflects the intertwined destinies of gods and men. As we delve deeper into this ancient tale, the motivations behind the Harpies' torment of Phineus take subtle shape, guiding us to the deeper roots of their mission and purpose. Thus, the stage is set for a story that intertwines punishment, suffering, and the inexhaustible dance between the mortal and the divine. In the legendary tapestry of ancient myths, a tale woven with adventurous spirit is that of Jason and the Argonauts. The story begins with the introduction of Jason, a figure known widely for his bravery and determination. As the rightful heir to the throne of Iolcus, Jason was tasked with a daunting quest to retrieve the coveted golden fleece from the distant land of Colchis. This quest, however, was more than a mere retrieval. It was a journey destined to test the limits of heroism and camaraderie. Known for his unwavering courage and leadership, Jason emerged as the man to rally heroes from across Greece to his cause. These mighty companions, known as the Argonauts, each brought unique skills and prowess to the journey, their collective strength forming the backbone of Jason's formidable crew. The assemblage of heroes to undertake the quest was nothing short of legendary. Among them were Hercules, renowned for his unparalleled strength; Orpheus, whose music could charm even the fiercest of beasts; and the swift-footed Boreads, Calais and Zetes, known for their ability to fly. This convergence of talents from diverse corners of Greece symbolized a unifying moment for the fragmented city-states, each hero contributing their distinct strengths to a singular noble pursuit. As the word of the mission spread throughout the Hellenic world, the city-states offered their finest warriors and resources to aid Jason, reflecting a rare moment of unity influenced by the shared admiration for valor and glory. With the divine intervention of the gods, the path of the Argonauts was paved by celestial hands. Hera, the queen of the gods, harbored a particular fondness for Jason and orchestrated the way forward with a subtle guiding hand. The gods, ever present in the lives of mortals, shaped the journey ahead, their influence ensuring that the Argonauts' vessel, the Argo, would sail with divine favor. Crafted by the master shipbuilder Argus at the behest of Athena, the Argo was a marvel of ingenuity, embodying the myth's intertwining of human skill and godly inspiration. Its keel cut through the Aegean waters with grace and certainty, a testament to the synergy between divine will and human endeavor. As dawn's soft glow cast a warm light over the calm seas, the Argonauts launched their epic voyage aboard the Argo. The departure was marked by an air of optimistic resolve and a sense of grandeur, the crew standing ready to brave unknown waters and confront the challenges of myth and nature alike. Jason, at the helm, exuded an aura of quiet confidence, akin to a captain steering his destiny through uncharted seas. This inaugural passage was a dance between man and mythology, each stroke of the oars a rhythmic ode to the bravery of those who dared to dream beyond mortal limits. The journey was not one of isolation. Encounters with allies and adversaries soon peppered their maritime path. They were met by friendly kings and hostile forces, their legend growing with each encounter. The camaraderie among the Argonauts deepened as they maneuvered through these interactions, their shared experiences forming an unbreakable bond. As whispers of their exploits spread through the Hellenic lands, their voyage took on a mythical quality, each victory and trial adding another layer to the epic. Soon, tales of mysterious islands, enchanting sirens, and fierce tempestuous seas surrounded the Argonauts, weaving a tapestry of mythic encounters that would echo through time. They encountered beings both beautiful and fearsome, and faced supernatural challenges that demanded not only strength, but also cunning and unity. These early trials of the voyage hinted at the formidable hurdles that lay in wait, and at the enduring qualities the crew would need to summon. As they navigated these mythical encounters, they learned invaluable lessons about trust, courage, and the delicate balance between mortal desires and divine whims. As the Argo glided smoothly over the Aegean waves, the mythic tales of their adventures began to take root in the collective memory of their journey. Through the calm, Jason and his crew embraced the eminent truths of their mission, fortified by a collective resolve that mirrored the steady seas beneath them. Their determination, both an anchor and a compass, guided them ever forward, toward the distant shores where fate awaited. With each stroke of the oars, the Argonauts set themselves ever further into the annals of legend, their eyes fixed on the horizon and the promise of the Golden Fleece. It was a promise that gleamed as brightly as the first rays of a summer sun and beckoned them onwards through the vast expanse of ocean and story to come. As we turn to their next chapter, the whispers of destiny and myth draw Jason and his brave crew toward a portentous encounter with the infamous Harpies, setting the stage for new trials in their storied journey. In the quiet corners of Thrace, as dusk settled over the land, a figure sat at a wooden table burdened by the weight of unseen chains. Phineus, once a venerated prophet whose wisdom echoed through the ages, now found himself enshrouded in gloom. Throughout his life, Phineus had earned the favor of the divine for his ability to see beyond the veil of time. Many sought his counsel, believing his prophetic visions to be divine insights into fate itself. Yet, for reasons known to few, the god's affections had turned to wrath, and Phineus was plunged into an existence marred by constant torment. The tales of Phineus's past achievements lingered in whispered conversations among the people of Thrace. There were stories of how he'd foretold great events and the destinies of noble houses. His role as a seer was pivotal in guiding leaders towards wise decisions, helping them navigate through uncertain times. Yet his transgression, perceived disloyalty to the gods by revealing too much, became the root of his suffering. Despite his noble service, the heavens had decided to discipline him by robbing him of sight and ensnaring him in perpetual agony. This suffering was wrought by the harrowing visits of the Harpies. These mythical spirits, swift and shrill, were dispatched by the gods with a singular purpose: to torment Phineus. Their instruction was clear: swoop down as he attempted to partake in nourishment, and snatch away his sustenance, leaving him in a state of perpetual hunger. Day after day, Phineus would stretch his hands towards the modest plates of food meant to sustain him, only to feel the rush of air as the Harpies descended, cruelly carrying away his morsels. This relentless theft was a symbol of his punishment, a physical manifestation of divine displeasure. In his moments of despair, Phineus turned to the skies and poured out heartfelt prayers. He beseeched the gods, lamenting his endless plight and asking for mercy. His appeals were filled with humility and contrition, as he sought to reconcile whatever past mistake had incurred such wrath. Phineus's words were carried solemnly on the evening winds, as if hoping they might reach the ears of some sympathetic deity. Though the heavens remained silent, his faith did not waver. He believed that every punishment carried within it the seeds of redemption, and he clung to this hope. At times, in his dreams or half-waking visions, notions of salvation danced before him like phantoms of hope. These visions often took the form of visitors with the power to disperse the Harpy's shadow over his life. Phineus saw glimpses of noble figures riding on the winds, who might stand between him and his tormentors. Though the identity of these saviors was shrouded in mystery, the visions themselves rekindled sparks of endurance within his weary soul. Around Phineus, the reaction of his fellow inhabitants of Thrace was one of mingled pity and superstitious fear. Some viewed his plight as a cautionary tale, a divine lesson in the importance of reticence. Others saw him as a tragic figure, noble yet fallen. Among those who believed in the old stories of gods and prophecies, Phineus's suffering was both a grim reminder of the gods' power and an illustration of the harsh justice that awaited transgressors. Of divine law. Despite the weight of his trials, Phineus remained steadfast. His vulnerability, stripped bare by years of torment, revealed a deep wellspring of inner strength. The man who once thrived on foresight now lived moment to moment, finding fortitude in each small victory over despair. His endurance was not just a battle against the Harpies, but also a quiet testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of divine retribution. And so, in the shadowy confines of his dimmed room, Phineus persevered. The food, perpetually scattered and untamed by his touch, became symbolic markers of his endurance. Though the Harpies persisted, the prophet persisted more. Dusk deepened, casting muted amber hues over Thrace, yet Phineus's spirit flickered onward like a solitary beacon beneath the waning light. Unbeknownst to him, his stalwart vigil was soon to herald the arrival of hope, whispering on the winds with the promise of salvation. As the summer breeze whispered across the Thracian coast, the tranquility of the day belied the anguish that gripped the household of Phineus. In this seemingly peaceful setting, Phineus sat at his modest table, a figure of timeless wisdom shackled by relentless suffering. Every day, the Harpies descended like a dark cloud, their swift, shrill cries echoing as they snatched away the meager sustenance he hoped would sustain him. Yet, unyielding, Phineus clung to the visions of salvation that offered a glimmer of hope amidst the torment. On this fateful day, that hope took form as Calais and Zetes arrived on the shores of Thrace. Sons of the north wind, their essence was one with the air. Swift as the gales they rode upon, they were a sight to behold, cloaks fluttering like vibrant pennants in the breeze. Known for their agility and bold spirit, they bore the lineage of a divine yet mortal union, bringing with them a promise of aid. They had journeyed with the Argonauts, a band united in their quest for the Golden Fleece, bound by camaraderie and a shared dedication to noble deeds. The Boreads had keenly sensed the turmoil of Phineus, the silent cries threading through the winds to reach their ears. Their arrival was not mere coincidence, but rather an intertwining of fates that the gods seemed to have orchestrated. Guided by the unwritten laws of honor and heroism, the bond among the Argonauts compelled them to relieve those stricken by unjust suffering. Seeing Phineus for the first time, they stood resolute, hearts set on easing the burden imposed upon his tired shoulders. The dialogue between Phineus and the Boreads unfolded with profound simplicity, a poignant sharing of sorrow and resolve. Phineus, through his words, painted the harrowing picture of his daily struggles, the Harpies' merciless thefts leaving him weaker with each passing day. The twins listened intently, understanding the profound sorrow that lay behind each syllable spoken by the blind prophet. Phineus's tale was more than personal. It was emblematic of the wider strife between mortals and the divine mandates they often challenged. In acknowledging the nature of their foes, Calais and Zetes recognized the formidable challenge that lay ahead. The Harpies, being creations of divine origin, posed a threat far greater than any ordinary creature. The brothers knew well the intricacies of engaging with beings who straddled the realms of the mortal and the celestial. Their determination did not wane. Rather, it solidified their resolve to devise a strategy equal to the task. Strategic thinking was paramount as they prepared to confront the Harpies. Calais and Zetes, gifted with unparalleled speed and insight by their father Boreads, concocted plans to outmaneuver these winged tormentors. They deliberated on how best to use their strengths, blending the power of wind and flight, to turn the tide against Phineus's oppressors. This was not a battle to be won through brute force, but rather through the clever application of their gifts. Despite the evident power of their adversaries, the Boreads and Phineus understood the limits of mortal ability when pitted against such divinely sanctioned beings. This awareness did not dishearten them, for their hearts were steeled by the virtue of their cause. Each nodded in silent agreement, acknowledging the thin line they walked between daring ambition and inevitable submission to the greater whims of divinity. Nevertheless, driven by an unwavering commitment to easing Phineus's plight, the twin brothers prepared for the confrontation ahead. They were not merely champions of human allies, but also stalwarts of a greater moral order, seeking to correct the imbalance brought by the Harpies. Their loyalty to the suffering prophet was a testament to an enduring spirit of heroism, a quality often found among those who traveled with Jason and his noble crew. As preparations were finalized, a gentle promise lingered in the air, carried by the winds that had long been allies to the Boreads. The anticipation of the upcoming confrontation filled the atmosphere with a palpable energy, a dynamic setting where myth and reality intertwined. The heroes stood at the precipice of a formidable challenge, yet their dedication to the cause illuminated the path ahead. This chapter of their journey was but an interlude in the grander tapestry of the Argonauts' voyage. Yet, in this moment, the mission was clear: to relieve Phineus of his tormentors and restore a semblance of peace in a world often loomed over by forces beyond mortal control. With their strategy set, the Boreads awaited the dusk when shadows blurred and night cloaked their movements, preparing for the noble task that awaited them. The coming night promised a new chapter, one defined by courage and decisiveness, woven into the very fabric of the myth that stepped away from mere legend into living history. As the last hues of the sun painted the Thracian skies with a fiery sunset, Calais and Zetes, the noble Boreads, stood ready. The tranquility of summer bore no hint of the impending confrontation. Yet, within the hearts of these sons of the north wind, surged a determination as fierce as the gale. Having witnessed the suffering of Phineus, their resolve was firm. The air was calm yet vibrant as they gathered their thoughts, preparing for the imminent battle against creatures as untamed as the sky itself. The sky was their realm, and under its vast expanse, the Boreads sought to harness every element of their inherited prowess. Calais and Zetes knew the Harpies' descent upon Phineus could occur at any moment. Their ears were attuned to the sound of beating wings, a harbinger of dread descending with the evening shadow. With a swift exchange of silent resolve, they took to the sky, prepared to challenge the divine tormentors. No sooner had the Boreads risen than the Harpies appeared, screeching through the tranquility of dusk. These creatures, tasked by the gods, were shrill and elusive. Like spirits of the air themselves, Calais and Zetes pursued, the thrill of the chase unfolding beneath the gaze of the fading sun. The Harpies' agility was unmatched, their movements sinuous and rapid, yet the Boreads matched them wingbeat for wingbeat, a dance of pursuit through the amber-streaked sky. Through the dynamic clouds, the Boreads pushed onwards, their speed as relentless as their will. Calais, with the dexterity of wind's embrace, sought to flank the Harpies, while Zetes applied his mastery over the currents, attempting to funnel their foes into a corner. It was a celestial ballet, each movement calculated, each strategy aimed at overcoming the divine adversaries. The Boreads' cunning was their ally, their movements designed to anticipate and outmaneuver the shrill cries of their adversaries. Drawing upon their legacy, Calais and Zetes employed their ability to manipulate the wind, crafting eddies and gusts that turned the chase into a whirlwind dance. It was a celestial competition of speed and strategy, each Boread harnessing the air's power to their advantage. With each dive and arc, the Boreads slowly closed the gap, turning the tide of pursuit into a confrontation where wit became as crucial as speed. From the heavens above, the gods observed, their infinite patience directing the scene. Would the Boreads' resolute hearts suffice against the divine mandate that the Harpies served? Would mortal intervention alter the plans of the deities? These silent questions floated upon the evening air, unanswered yet hanging like the stars soon to emerge. With a decisive swoop, Calais managed to drive one Harpy into the waiting arms of Zetes' deft maneuvering, a synchronous dance of the fates. It was then that the divine beings, perhaps moved by mortal courage, or perhaps intended for Phineus to gain respite, signaled the end of their torment. The Harpies, yielding to the superior strategy and swiftness of the Boreads, were finally driven away, streaming off into the vastness of sky, untouched by mortal hand. As the echoes of the Harpies' retreat faded into the distance, a newfound peace descended upon Phineus' abode. The calm following the storm of their confrontation enveloped the Thracian skies as the sun gave way to the evening stars, each glimmer a testament to heroic deeds written in celestial script. Phineus, at last, could feel a lifting of the unrelenting shadow that had clouded his days. The Boreads' act of valor resonated as a legend unto itself, a deed encapsulated in the constellations above. With the task complete, the Boreads descended, their feet touched the solid ground, achieving a tranquil conclusion to their airborne saga. A soft breeze caressed the land, whispering tales of their victory. In the wake of battle, the air remained clear and still, a reflection of the peace restored. The sons of the north wind basked in a quiet triumph, knowing their aid had brought solace and hope, not only to Phineus, but into the world of legends to endure beyond memory's grasp. This tale of courage and the vanquishing of chaos would echo through time, signifying a moment when heroism triumphed over divine orchestrations. The chapter closed with a gentle message to Phineus that calm can indeed follow even the fiercest storms. Yet as all knew well, within myths, the journey did not end, but transformed, directing attention once more to greater quests upon horizons yet unseen. With the Harpies driven away by the valiant efforts of the Boreads, the air around Phineus no longer carried the shrill cries of these punishing spirits. The relentless torments that had clouded his existence lifted like morning mist under a rising sun. Phineus, seated once again at his table, felt a profound sense of relief wash over him. His gratitude towards Calais and Cetes was immense. The sons of Boreas had not only chased away the creatures that had been his bane, but also restored his dignity. In a voice filled with emotion, Phineus expressed his thanks to the Boreads, acknowledging their bravery and selflessness. The relief in his heart was unlike any he had felt before, as the persistent dread that had hung over each meal vanished. The tone in his voice, though marked by years of suffering, now carried a buoyancy that hadn't been heard since before his divine punishment. Phineus knew that such acts of heroism would not go unnoticed by the gods, and this knowledge filled his heart with deep joy. The absence of the Harpies marked the onset of a newfound peace in his day-to-day life. Each meal was now a blessing, devoid of disruption and misery. Phineus could once again savor his food, feeling each texture and tasting every flavor that passed his lips. It was not merely the absence of the Harpies that brought him joy, but the return to life's simple pleasures and their uninterrupted beauty. His hearth was no longer a place of anguish, but one of tranquility and renewal, and Phineus cherished this return to normalcy. With Jason and the Argonauts still in his midst, Phineus extended his gratitude towards them for their unwavering support. Though it was the Boreads who had actively pursued the Harpies, it was Jason's leadership and the unified spirit of the Argonauts that had paved the way for such a triumph. Their journey was long and arduous, and yet they paused their quest for glory to assist a suffering soul. This showed the true character of heroes, and Phineus did not let their contributions go unrecognized. He lavished praise upon them, his voice a testament to their courage and solidarity. Feeling rejuvenated and clear-minded, Phineus decided to share a prophecy with the Argonauts as a token of his gratitude. This prophecy, buried deep within the recesses of his prophetic mind, could aid them on their journey for the Golden Fleece. He spoke of challenges that lay ahead, hinting at trials and tribulations that awaited them on the seas. These insights were not merely predictions, they were the distilled wisdom from his own suffering, shared as a beacon of guidance for those at the frontiers of heroism. Phineus conveyed the wisdom gleaned from his past trials, offering advice for the challenges the Argonauts might face. He spoke of endurance and foresight, calling on them to hold true to their purpose, no matter the adversity ahead. His own journey had taught him that suffering shapes understanding, and clarity often follows hardship like the calm after a storm. With this newfound understanding, Phineus offered what solace he could, hoping it would give the Argonauts strength in their formidable quest. As evening descended upon the horizon, Phineus dined in peace, untouched by the torment that had once plagued his senses. His acceptance of his sightlessness as divine providence had given way to a quiet understanding of his place in the world. Through his trials, Phineus had grown wiser, and this wisdom was a source of illumination, dispelling shadows of bitterness and resentment. He embraced his blindness as a part of the divine tapestry woven by the gods, and this acceptance allowed him to find peace once more. In honor of the Boreads' valor, a modest feast was held, one where laughter and tales of daring echoed through the halls. Phineus shared the table with those who had risen to help him, a symbol of his renewed spirit and the bonds forged in adversity. This celebration, while grand in its joy, remained humble, reflecting the serene satisfaction of a community coming together for a greater good. As they broke bread together, they marked the Boreads' courage and the profound impact their actions had brought. The night concluded with warm camaraderie, and with a nod of gratitude from Phineus, the Argonauts prepared to resume their greater quest. Their spirits buoyant from this victory, they turned their eyes towards the distant horizon, ready to meet whatever fate had in store for them. This moment, captured in the minds of those present, solidified their resolve and reaffirmed the noble mission that lay ahead. As the serene waves gently lapped against the Argo's hull, the Argonauts found a tranquil moment to ponder their past endeavors and the wisdom gained through their mythic journey. Phineus, the once tormented seer, stood as a testament to the enduring nature of wisdom hard-earned through trials. His journey from suffering under divine punishment to achieving peace, thanks to the heroism of others, offered poignant lessons. It showed how wisdom, despite its burdens, often finds a way to shine through adversity, leaving a legacy that outlives the suffering itself. In contemplating Phineus's plight, the Argonauts considered the profound weight of divine punishment, one not easily understood within the realm of mortal experience. The gods, beings of immense power, often imposed such trials not merely out of cruelty, but to shape the fates of both individuals and the larger tapestry of human existence. This punishment, entwined with the divine will, served to remind mortals of their position in the cosmos, where human suffering could be a tool for greater understanding and eventual redemption. This myth, like many others woven through the fabric of ancient societies, acted as a mirror reflecting moral and ethical concepts to its listeners. To the people of antiquity, these tales were more than mere entertainment. They were foundations upon which societal norms were built and upheld. The myth illustrated how resilience amid hardship could lead to redemption and peace, a valuable lesson for mortals navigating their own tumultuous paths. It reminded listeners that courage and integrity in the face of great trials could sow the seeds of lasting wisdom and teaching. The Harpies, elusive and shrill in their nature, served as potent symbols of divine retribution. In their relentless torment of Phineus, they represented the harsh yet purposeful justice of the gods, designed to maintain cosmic balance. They were not villainous in their actions, but rather instruments of a higher order, doling out the lessons dictated by the divine. Their symbolic presence in the myth encouraged a deeper understanding of justice, not as a finite punishment, but a transformative force guiding mortals toward growth and enlightenment. Reflections on the Argonauts' journey underscored their unified efforts as a collective heroic force. Each member, from the swift Boreads to the determined Jason, played a vital role in their overall success. Their camaraderie shone as a stellar example of collective heroism, a theme prevalent in classical mythology. This unity, forged in the face of adversity, illuminated the path the Argonauts took as each hero contributed to their shared goal, driving them toward their quest's ultimate success. In pondering the concept of heroism, it became clear that its nature transcended the bounds of ancient myth, resonating through history to modern ideals. Classical mythology presented heroes like Jason and his companions as paragons of valor and virtue, whose tales served as timeless sources of inspiration. Heroism, as propagated through these myths, was about more than individual bravery. It embodied the ethos of duty, fidelity, and altruism. These stories continued to hold sway over the hearts of listeners, reminding them of the heroic potential lying dormant within every individual. As myths are cataloged and interpreted through generations, they offer a prism through which historical understanding is crafted and recrafted. Each retelling and adaptation enriches the narrative, continuously infusing it with new perspectives and insights. Through such storytelling, humanity finds a way to connect deeply with its past, drawing insights that remain meaningful and relevant. The Harpies, Phineus, and the Argonauts all occupy crucial roles within this eternal tapestry, their stories intertwined with the spiritual and philosophical fabric that defines cultural heritage. As twilight gently descended upon the Argo, casting it in hues of mellow red and burnt orange, the tranquil scene mirrored the introspective mood of its passengers. The journey ahead would be arduous, yet armed with the lessons of the past and the strength garnered from their collective trials, the Argonauts felt ready to return to their quest for the Golden Fleece. The tranquil sea around them was a reminder of their resilience and the courage they had gleaned from their encounters, ready to carry them toward their next adventure. In this reflective interlude, the Argonauts not only acknowledged the monumental tasks they had overcome, but also embraced the wisdom they had acquired. Their resolve solidified, they turned toward their course, with Thrace shrinking in the distance and the promise of the Golden Fleece beckoning them forward. Despite the mysteries and challenges still awaiting them, the companionship and insights forged on their voyage were steadfast allies in their mythic saga. In the tapestry of ancient myths, the relationships between gods and mortals are threads interwoven with both harmony and discord. The gods of Olympus, wielders of boundless power and immortal wisdom, often interacted with the lives of humans, altering destinies and challenging perceptions. They observed humanity from their serene heights, intervening either to teach or to impose justice. One such motive was their natural inclination to maintain a balance, ensuring mortal actions did not disrupt the divine cosmic order. This intent was evident in the plight of Phineus, whose punishment by Zeus was not arbitrary, but a decree to check presumption and preserve divine prerogatives. Yet, why was there divine interference in the first place? The myth tells us that the gods perceived the world differently from mortals. They existed outside the linear constraints of time and experienced events through the lens of eternity, while humans grappled moment to moment, driven by survival and aspiration. The Harpies, tormentors of Phineus, were an extension of this timeless justice, sent not to cruelly amuse the gods, but to realign the transgressions of the seer, whose unveiled truths needed celestial chastening. Such divine acts inevitably spark debates on fate versus free will within Greek mythology. The gods, omnipresent and omniscient, seem to steer mortal dynamics toward predetermined ends. Yet, humans notably possessed a measure of autonomy in their responses to divine machinations. Take Jason and the Argonauts, who received prophecies and warnings, yet navigated their journey through courage and determination, demonstrating their belief in the power of mortal agency to shape destiny. The gods themselves, despite their divinity, exhibited whims and desires akin to human traits, further complicating this divine-human interface. Love, jealousy, and vengeance were prevalent in their tales, revealing deities' susceptibility to emotions perceived as mortal imperfections. Here is animosity towards Heracles, or Athena's favoritism towards Odysseus, are examples of how human-like passions influenced godly behavior. This mirroring of attributes allowed ancient audiences to relate to their gods, seeing within them reflections of their struggles and virtues. Despite these anthropomorphic qualities, humans often look to the gods for strength when faced with trials beyond their mortal capacity. They prayed for courage, wisdom, or intervention, believing divine favor could shift the tides of misfortune. The Argonauts, under Jason's command, relied on such divine guidance during their voyage, their faith akin to a mast that weathered them through tempests and trials. When Boreads aided Phineus, it was not merely a heroic act. It symbolized a celestial nod, a moment when divine interventions aligned with human valor. The legacy of divine aid evident in these myths shaped other legendary tales. Consider how Perseus was gifted Hermes' sandals and Athena's shield to defeat the Gorgon. Divine assistance in such narratives illustrates an altruistic continuum, elevating the human spirit to achieve the extraordinary. This assistance extended beyond individual endeavors to missions of altruistic nature, highlighting the gods' favor aligned with noble quests like that of the Argonauts seeking the Golden Fleece. As the chapter winds through these themes, one profound consideration emerges: the framework of faith among ancient civilizations. This narrative reliance on gods not only explains cosmic mysteries, but also provides moral guidance. By intertwining divine conduct with human affairs, myths encapsulated both wonder and instruction. They taught of justice and the repercussions of hubris, encouraging societies to pursue virtue while recognizing human limitations. As the sun dipped below the horizon of the calm Aegean Sea, its soft orange hue merged with the twilight purple sky. Jason and his Argonauts continued to sail toward their mythic aspiration. The serenity of the evening mirrored the insights gained from understanding these intricate divine-human relationships. These reflections would guide them as they embarked on their next mythic task, ever mindful of the gods' invisible threads woven through their epic journey. The open ocean stretched infinitely under the starlit sky, a tapestry of mysteries and tales woven by the sailors who dared its depths. Among the Argonauts, it was customary to exchange stories that enriched their nights with echoes of past adventures and flights of imagination. These narratives were not just mere entertainments, but served as a cultural fabric that connected them to the myths of their land, grounding them in the vastness of the sea. Each tale held a kernel of truth wrapped in layers of embellishment, reminding them of the ancient lineage they were part of, a lineage tied to heroes and gods. As the Argo gently traversed the tranquil Aegean waters, stories of mystical creatures filled the air. There were whispers of beings that dwelled beneath the waves, elusive and enigmatic, never fully seen but often felt through the tremors they left in their wake. The sea was said to be home to majestic sea serpents, creatures of immense size that slumbered in its deepest trenches. The sailors spoke of the serpents' undulating bodies causing ripples that transformed into tsunamis, affecting the fates of many a vessel. These tales, though grand, underscored a truth woven into the sailors' hearts: that the sea, in its boundless expanse, was an entity with whims of its own, demanding respect and caution. The journey of the Argonauts was punctuated by encounters with otherworldly beings, each meeting a tale of its own. Sirens, those beguiling creatures, posed one of the greatest tests to their voyage. Their lilting songs were known to lead even the most steadfast sailor astray, their voices weaving seductive promises that were nothing but illusions. As the Argo approached the Sirens' rocky haven, Orpheus, whose skill with the lyre was unmatched, played to drown out their irresistible melodies. The haunting harmony of Orpheus' music, both a shield and a guide, carried the crew safely past the enchantment, adding yet another layer to their growing legend. It was a triumph not of brute force but of intellect and art, the kind of victory that defined heroism. Sea travel for Jason and his brave companions was a dual passage, one of physical distances measured by leagues, and another of symbolic trials measured by their resolve. The ocean, with its sprawling horizon, became a mirror reflecting their inner journeys as they navigated unforeseen challenges. Each wave they conquered, each storm they survived, represented a hurdle crossed in the pursuit of their higher purpose, the Golden Fleece. This aerial prize, entwined with divine fate and mortal fervor, beckoned them ever onward. The camaraderie forged amid these tribulations at sea was an emblem of unyielding heroism. The Argonauts, from disparate lands, were bound together not just by the planks of the Argo, but by the shared stories and hardships that one day would be recounted in the halls of Olympus and Fate. Lands beyond. Leadership among them was fluid, often tested, and always in harmony with the elements they traversed. Jason, though their leader, was also a participant in their collective heroism, learning as much as he guided. His decisions, whether confronting mythical threats or negotiating the temperaments of the crew, were shaped by the counsel and strength of his comrades. The mythology of the sea is universal, and as the Argonauts shared their tales, they also heard stories from shores far and wide, narratives of monstrous leviathans in the Nordic seas, or of vast, winged creatures seen skimming across the waters in Eastern legends. These comparisons across cultures created a rich tapestry that elevated their own saga, illustrating how deeply humanity's understanding of the sea and its lore was interwoven. The myths were colored by local interpretations, yet spoke the common language of bravery and awe before the unknown. Thus, under the vast canopy of stars, the Argonauts sailed on, their spirits buoyed by the legacy of their tales. The night sky was a reflection of their mission below, an affirmation that they were part of a grand narrative, one where impossibilities were confronted, battles won through wit and unity, and where the shimmering golden fleece awaited to fulfill destinies. As the calm ocean cradled the Argo, they knew that every story they told carried them one step closer to that legendary Isle of Colchis, where their ultimate challenge lay. And as the stars began to fade against the impending dawn, the Argonauts were ready to continue their mythic quest, inspired by the narratives that bound them to the sea and to each other. As the sun began to set, casting a fiery orange glow across the expansive sea, Jason stood proudly at the helm of the Argo. Here, on this legendary ship, he bore the weight of leadership, an undertaking that mythology has regarded with both reverence and gravity. Central to this leadership was the embodiment of bravery, wisdom, and the unyielding resolve to see his crew through their perilous journey. The Argonauts, a blend of diverse talents and brave souls, each contributed uniquely to the voyage. They were not just followers of Jason, but active participants in the unfolding epic that was their quest for the Golden Fleece. Each hero brought something distinct to the table, be it Orpheus's enchanting music that soothed tempests or Hercules' unmatched strength that quelled looming threats. Together, they amplified the heroic endeavor, adding layers of depth to their collective narrative. Leadership, as demonstrated by Jason, was not a solitary pursuit, but one of inclusion. Within the camaraderie aboard the Argo, a spirit of collaboration thrived. The Argonauts respected and trusted their leader, and Jason, in turn, respected their insights and valued their voices. This mutual respect forged an atmosphere of unity, an essential pillar that upheld the Argonauts through the turmoils of mythic seas and enchantments alike. As they navigated through waters filled with both visible and unseen dangers, Jason found himself at crossroads that demanded crucial decisions. It was these moments of decision that showcased his adaptability and foresight. Whether steering through threatening tides or determining the next course of action when faced with divine interferences, Jason's decisions redirected the journey. Each choice added to the complex tapestry of their adventure and fueled the onward drive of the epic they were living out. Tales of heroism, too, came in those shared moments of adversity, where the legends surrounding the Argonauts continued to echo through time. Adventures of Atalanta's dexterity and the Boreads' swift prowess against foes, like the Harpies, enriched Jason's understanding of leadership. These stories were not mere annotations, but vital chapters, adding to the repository of lessons that Jason gleaned throughout their voyages. Leadership in mythology often resides within the kernel of leading by example, a concept mirrored in Jason's journey. He did not shun challenges, nor bask solely in triumph. When confronted with trials and tribulations, Jason's tenacity and courage became a beacon for his crew, encouraging them to rise above adversities. His example illuminated their path and reinforced the theme of exemplary leadership prevalent throughout classical myths. The ancestral legacy that bore upon Jason and his Argonauts shaped their journey as much as the winds that guided them. Lineages interwoven with divine ancestry and heroic legends served as reminders of their purpose and the heritage they carried. Jason's lineage, connected to Hermes and his mortal forebears, whispered stories of valor and the unquenchable pursuit of glory, which he embodied on this legendary quest. As the sun dipped below the horizon, enveloping the sea in a cloak of warm gold, the Argonauts remained steadfast, their resolve unshaken. Jason, at the helm, was not just a figurehead but the living pulse of leadership amidst the mythic expanse. Their journey was not merely a pursuit of the Golden Fleece, but a testament to the undying virtues of courage, collaboration, and the willingness to lead with heart. With these lessons etched into the saga of their voyage, the Argonauts sailed forward, their spirits buoyed by the narratives and the camaraderie they had forged. Trusting in each other and the stories carried by the waves, they exemplified unity and diversity, a mosaic of myths and realities bound by leadership and purpose. As the first light of dawn brushed the horizon, a palpable sense of determination enveloped the Argonauts standing on the deck of the Argo. They embodied the essence of perseverance, which has been a profound theme throughout their mythic saga. Each member bore the scars of the trials they had faced, their resolve only strengthened by the burdens and victories shared with one another. Through every storm and every celestial intervention, they had learned anew the value of unity among comrades facing otherworldly challenges. Their shared experiences crafted bonds forged in the crucible of adversity, enabling them to trust each other implicitly. The Argonauts, though diverse in their skills and backgrounds, found common ground in their collective struggle against dire foes and unfathomable mythical creatures. Side by side, they overcame obstacles that would have daunted the mightiest of heroes. Tales of their perseverance spread far and wide, serving as harbingers of hope and models of courage for future generations of adventurers. In reaffirming their mission of retrieving the Golden Fleece, the Argonauts strengthened their resolve further, understanding that this quest was more than just the pursuit of glory. It was a testament to their personal drives and ambitions, weaving them into a shared vision. They understood that each trial faced not only tested their might, but also solidified their faith in a common purpose. Their pursuit symbolized a harmonious journey where individual desires melded into a unified objective that transcended personal aspiration. The barriers they overcame served as physical embodiments of their combined strength and camaraderie. Every challenge, from the grasp of the storm to the embrace of the siren's call, was conquered through their aligned efforts. These obstacles were not merely hindrances but milestones on the path that testified to their enduring fellowship. Each Argonaut, through personal sacrifice and unyielding loyalty, added to the fortitude of the crew and the unshakable unity required to face such monumental tasks. As dawn unfolded, casting a gentle amber light upon the Argo, the sense of belonging among the Argonauts grew palpable. They found solace and purpose in their shared goal, encouraging one another through whispers of victory and tales of their continuing quest. This collective harmony was akin to an unsung song, evoking feelings of belonging intertwined with the promise of success. It was not just about retrieving the Golden Fleece. It was about the path that led them there, enriching their spirits. Reflections on their journey spoke of growth, wisdom, and newfound insights. Each Argonaut, laying claim to personal experiences, understood the moral of their saga, the struggle and triumph of mortals amidst the vast pantheon of gods and myths. The acquired knowledge of their adventures and the lessons learned along the unforgiving journey became fundamental bedrocks for their continuing quest, nurturing their resolve to seek greatness beyond personal gains. As the Argonauts stood poised against the backdrop of the sunrise, each looked ahead with a deeper understanding of their mythic journey. The experiences shared aboard the Argo had enriched their lives immeasurably, binding them with invisible threads of fate and destiny. They were not only seekers of legendary treasure, but, more importantly, bearers of the virtues and trials that defined their age, a conglomeration of unity wrought from their enduring spirit and shared desire. With renewed dedication, they steered the Argo towards the horizon, their eyes etched with visions of both past victories and future success. In the gentle embrace of dawn's first light, they felt emboldened to face the unknown with the wisdom of their past adventures guiding them. Their journey continued, buoyed by their resolute hearts and the whispers of legends underfoot, carrying the lessons firmly engraved in their souls. The quest for the Golden Fleece awaited them still, an elusive goal now close at hand. As the breeze filled the sails and the rhythm of the ocean spoke of promise, the leadership and camaraderie solidified through hardship remained their guiding principle. In the shimmer of the morning, the Argonauts sailed forward, undaunted, emboldened, and inscribed forever in the annals of timeless myths. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with soft gold and muted red hues, the Argonauts found themselves nearing the familiar shores of Thrace. Their journey had been a testament to courage, unity, and the enduring spirit of heroism. Throughout their travels, they had confronted menacing challenges, faced mythical creatures, and solidified an unbreakable bond. Now, as the gentle waves lapped against the hull of the Argo, the crew savored the tranquil resolution of their expedition, a time to reflect on their trials and triumphs. Jason stood at the helm, his gaze steady on the fading horizon. The journey for the Golden Fleece had united a group of disparate heroes into a singular force, guided by shared aspirations. Each member of the Argonauts had contributed unique skills, transforming individual strengths into collective might. Reflecting upon their quest, Jason understood that their success was not solely measured by the acquisition of the Golden Fleece, but by the camaraderie and lessons forged along the way. During their voyage, the Argonauts encountered various myths that enriched their understanding of the world. Their interactions with figures such as Phineus and the Harpies offered profound insights into the complex interplay between gods and mortals. These stories painted a vivid tapestry of ancient wisdom, reminding them of the enduring nature of legend and its capacity to guide, teach, and inspire. The Argonauts' experiences would enshrine their deeds in the annals of mythology, influencing subsequent generations who would seek their own paths of heroism. The friendships developed throughout the journey were the true prize of their adventure. Relationships born of shared hardship and mutual reliance created a legacy that extended far beyond the confines of their voyage. In moments of restfulness, skirting the edge of slumber beneath a starlit sky, Jason and his crew would often recount their challenges with fondness, illuminating what it meant to stand shoulder to shoulder with warriors of like spirit. These conversations solidified the reality that while the quest was theirs, its implications reached into the fabric of history and the culture that birthed these legends. Acknowledging the myth's place in historical and cultural contexts, the Argonauts recognized how tales such as theirs were more than mere stories. These narratives encapsulated moral values, conveyed warnings, and preserved the wisdom of the past for those who sought understanding. Their journey was now part of a broader tradition, where heroism, sacrifice, and communal spirit were celebrated messages to inspire mankind. As they approached the Thracian shores, the understanding endowed them with a sense of achievement and responsibility to uphold these lofty ideals. The celebration of their influence on future tales was a quiet acknowledgement rather than an extravagant declaration. The Argonauts knew the worth of their contributions lay in the continued reverberations of their stories through time. The myths they had experienced, now woven with their exploits, would echo in songs and tales told by future generations around hearths and campfires, ensuring the spirit of their deeds would never fade. Finally, as the light of day gently receded into the embrace of twilight, the early evening arrived softly to crown their tale. The sunset cast a gentle amber glow over the waters, hinting at peace and resolution. The tranquility that enveloped them was profound, a soothing balm after the storm of adventure. It was a time for recollection, for putting to rest the more turbulent chapters of their journey, and for embracing the harmonious silence that followed. In the quiet culmination of their saga, the Argonauts stood unified, their hearts filled with contentment. They had traveled to the ends of the earth and back, tested by myth itself, and had emerged enriched by the experience. As their ships sailed toward the welcome of familiar shores, they left open the reflection that such stories bring, an ending that remains a beginning for those who would listen and learn from Thet. Lessons carried by the winds of legend,